Hello, my name is Andy and I am the village idiot, and I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. Welcome back to the district of Bassetlaw here in Nottinghamshire. And at the end of the last episode you saw here, there was a bit of a rainstorm. That's now passed. I hibernated in my car for about 5 or 10 minutes and it's now disappeared. We've got beautiful blue sky yet again. Okay, it's time to walk around Clarborough and Welham. Clarborough and Welham is a civil parish in Bassetlaw, and as the name suggests, it includes the village of Clarborough and the hamlet of Welham. In 2011, the parish had a population of 1,088. It's 130 miles north of London, 28 miles northeast of the city of Nottingham, and 2 miles northeast of the market town of Retford. Now, I can promise you guys I'm going to make a really good effort with this video. I'm even going to throw the kitchen sink at it. How about that? This one touches Hayton, which we saw in the last episode, sharing a border with it along Smeeth Lane. It also borders North and South Wheatley, North Leverton with Habblesthorpe, and Sturton Steeple. We begin with the larger settlement of the two, in Clarborough. Despite the circular route I took around this village, it's still defined as a linear settlement along the A620 Retford to Beckingham road. It lies along the north boundary of the parish and its urban area merges into the village and parish of Hayton. It's really cold today. If you might remember in the Hayton episode I did mention the temperature seemed to drop dramatically when I hit the canal. That temperature drop has stayed, and as I've started to walk around Clarborough I just feel colder and colder. I don't know what the actual temperature is, but it's really cold today. Really cold. It maintains key amenities such as a church, a village hall and a shop, all of which we'll see during the course of this episode. Of course, Clarborough also has access to the Chesterfield Canal from the same bridge carrying Smeeth Lane that we saw in Hayton. Not mentioned in that episode was that bridge's name, Clarborough Top Bridge. The canal doesn't feature in this episode, but that's not to say it doesn't have some interesting things we can say about it as it passes through both Clarborough and Welham. Today's picture bit will show you what I mean later. Clarborough was mentioned in the Domesday Book as Clarborough or Clairburg and later Clarborough. It's been primarily an agricultural settlement for hundreds of years. It nestles in the flat plains before the land rises up Clarborough Hill, where a windmill stood in 1753 and burnt down in 1896. Since 1945, both Clarborough and Welham have increasingly become residential settlements rather than solely agricultural villages. There was an influx of workers into the area into the late 1950s when Cottam and West Burton power stations were built. Okay, so you might recognise this from the Hayton episode. I'm just about to walk down Smeeth Lane again. Remember, one side of the road here is Clarborough and Welham. That's the side I'm currently on. And the other side belongs to Hayton. And if you remember, there's also a bridge up here, which I walked down the side of to get to the Chesterfield Canal, which runs just there underneath Smeeth Lane where that car has just come from. We're heading this way though. The demand for housing changed the size and structure of Clarborough, much of the building taking place to the west of the A620. Two new estates between Big Lane and Smeeth Lane were built in the 1960s and the early 1970s. It remains a small village though, despite having grown so much, and the locals are pretty fun. Okay, so here in Clarborough I've come across two guys who wanted to be in a video. Woo! You see, I like finding people like you guys. Cheers. Thanks, guys. Can't beat village life, you really can't. It's not all fun and games here. Unfortunately, seeing as the area is surrounded by many water features, it may come as no surprise that the village has often suffered some flooding. The floods of 2007 having a notable impact. Now, for those of you who have followed me for a while, you'll know by now that this part of Nottinghamshire is strongly associated with the Mayflower Pilgrims. One of the Puritans, Edward Southworth, was born in the village. Southworth was due to join the voyage to the Americas, but eventually only realised the first portion of the overall journey via England, possibly due to ill health. So he returned to Holland and died there in 1621. Today's modern residents make up a demographic which sees Clarborough and Welham have a population of 1,098, with 98.9 of these being white British. House prices are pretty good here. They come in at an average value of £223,000. So what's the village like for amenities? First up, it has a bus service, or two in fact, the 97 and 197 Bassetlaw bells to Retford. Now you'll have to forgive me for being a little bit thick here because as you can see, this sign says that this is for sale by tender. I assume it means the field behind, or I don't know, something here is for sale by tender. What does for sale by tender mean, guys? Because I've never heard that term before. So yeah, if you could let me know in the comments section, that would be appreciated. And also, let me know if it's this that's for sale. The field I reference here is called the parish pasture, and there doesn't seem to be much online about this piece of land, so I may need some help here from you Clarborough locals. Alongside this are the village allotments for all those people out there that like to see these, and trust me, there are many. The pasture seems to be a piece of scrubland which links Smeeth Lane to the housing estates off Big Lane. It has a footpath across it, and there are some things to look at on our way across. What I did find online is something called the Friends of the Parish Pasture, a group that seems to manage this area of Clarborough. In the description is a link to one of the group's newsletters from 2018, showing the kind of work they do on this land. At the other side of the pasture, there's a skate park which has its very own notice board, and it's guarded by this cute little red squirrel. There's a small hard surface play area here too. I'd love some more information about this pasture, guys. Comment down below if you can provide some. Pubs now, and here is the King's Arms, which stands right next door to the local shop, a Spa store on King's Arms Yard. There was also a pub called the Gate Inn, standing close to the canal, and its car park used to be Clarborough Wharf. See the picture bit for that one. So the house behind me here, that's the old post office. The biggest clue there, of course, was the red pillar box, which you can just see in front of it. So there you go, that's the old post office house here in Clarborough. Buried away off the main A620 road, Clarborough has a primary school set into the housing estates we've already mentioned. In some regards, this is the ideal place for a school to be, although I imagine these side streets might get a little full with vehicles at peak times. Next is Clarborough Village Hall. This is managed by Clarborough and District Community Association, a registered charity. The hall has been recently and extensively refurbished. It's single-storey, easy access, and has a large hall and adjoining smaller room that can be booked separately or jointly. Okay, so here at the parish notice board in front of the village hall, I have found again a map so I can show you where I've been and where I'm going to go. The light is not very good here because it's reflecting off the pub behind me. So I'm currently there-ish, yes, there. So I've walked around Clarborough in a big circle. I still have yet to do this part here, which is where the church is. That's kind of where I'm going now. And then Welham, as you can see, we have to drive under a railway bridge to get to that. Welham is very, very small. That will finish this video off. So let's go and have a look at the church and also have a look at Welham. I've spoke to the camera a lot today, haven't I? I really have. Right, we are in the southernmost part of Clarborough now, the section of the village called Church Lane, which is where the church is, and this is between the main part of Clarborough and Welham. So we're just going to have a quick look around here, including looking in this rather nice little church, and then we'll move on to Welham. Until the late 1800s, Clarborough was a larger parish, taking in additional areas to the west and south such as Bolham, Little Gringley and parts of modern-day Retford. In fact, the Chapel of Ease at St Saviour's in Retford was built between 1827 and 1829 for that very geographical reason, as it was easier for worshippers in the parts nearest to Retford to attend services there than have to come here to Clarborough's church, St John the Baptist. The 1086 Domesday Book does not mention a church here at Clarborough. There is some evidence that a church of some kind, though, was established here by 1103. The original building was constructed, or at least started, in 1258. It wasn't until 1260 that the parish church of St John the Baptist was officially founded, and together with nearby Manor Farm, this area became the focus of the village. Beside the church is the Victorian schoolhouse, which was built in the 1870s, and the old vicarage. Interestingly, there's a churchyard yew tree here, which is possibly over 1,000 years old. I must apologise for the sun here. The time of day this was recorded, coupled with the time of year, means it was a little difficult to capture things in this direction of travel. We pass under a bridge as we drive into Welham. This carries the Sheffield to Lincoln railway line. There are in fact two railway bridges that cross the A620 road, one on either side of Welham village. To the east of the parish and within the boundaries is Clarborough Tunnel, some 656 yards or 600 metres long. Now we're in Welham. This is 1 mile south of Clarborough, separated from the main village by greenfield land. Primarily residential, it too is a linear village along the A620. The oldest part of the settlement is by a sharp corner on the A620 road. Given its small size, Welham has a number of listed buildings. These include the 17th century Welham Grange, Welham Park House and Welham Hall. Winley's farmhouse, situated at one of the highest points, is also a listed building. As you leave Welham towards Retford, the Chesterfield Canal runs alongside the A620. Literally yards from the road is the brilliantly named Whitsunday Pie Lock, said to have got its name because a local woman baked a huge pie one Whitsunday for the navvies who had just completed the lock. However, some recently discovered maps spoil this good old story by showing a Whitsunday pie field. The maps were drawn centuries before the canal existed. Whatever the reason, you can see Whitsunday pie lock in today's picture bit. So one curious thing about Welham is that the village sign here, which I haven't taken a shot of, depicts a well, which makes sense. Welham, you would expect there to be a well here, but I am sort of familiar with this village and I've never known if there is a well. Where is it? I don't know where it is, and I've never spotted it, so I haven't spotted it on this walk around. So if it exists, great, but don't know where it is. It may not exist anymore, I don't know. Maybe you locals can help me out with that one. As it turns out, it gets its name from a once celebrated spring known as St John's Well, which was formed into a large bath. Welham is listed in the Domesday Book as Welland, literally meaning at the spring, and the reason I've never found this is because it's now within a private house on Bonehill Lane. Alright, so I'm taking a perch in this little wooden bush shelter here in Welham, and it's time for you guys to have a picture of it next. Here that comes. And with that, we're pretty much done with the parish of Clarborough and Welham, but we're not done with this video because I had a request to include Little Gringley in this episode as well. Now, Little Gringley is in an unparished area. If you look at the map of Bassetlaw and you look at Retford, there's a strange piece that sticks out to the east. Little Gringley is in that piece. Quite why it's not in the parish of Clarborough and Welham, I don't know, but it is in an unparished area. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive down to Little Gringley first and then record on the way back, because the way the sun is at the moment, it's causing a few problems with any shot facing that way, so I'm much better off facing this way. So yeah, that's what we're going to have for the end of this video to play us out. But apart from that, this has been the parish of Clarborough and Welham, and I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.